We are cooking.
We're cooking.
Hey, Mom.
How are you, babe?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, as
Good to
usual.
hear you, and it's good to hear you too.
The audio works, you mean?
Imagine that. Our guardian angels came down from the sky to help us. Thank you.
What a concept.
Yes. So tell me, what do you want to make today?
I am making sauce.
Awesome.
And I'm going to do a very healthy rendition of chicken parm. How about you?
I'm excited for that. Well, so, your dad and I have been on this health journey for a couple of years now, and we've gotten to the point where, while we're still very carb conscious, we can't keep losing weight. At some point you got to stop losing weight. So I'm actually, instead of making traditional meatballs with breadcrumb, I'm making homemade Italian sausage into balls. So it's kind of a twist on a breadcrumby meatball that I love very much. But I have discovered on this journey that the white bread kind of carbohydrate doesn't make me feel so good. So I'm sticking with this. So I've got a couple of pounds of ground pork, and I actually did it myself. You don't have to. You can certainly find it in the store, but I happen to have pork, and I like it a little bit finer, more fine ground than typically the way you find ground pork in the store for this application. That's 100% anybody's personal preference. So what have you got going on so far?
I'm not doing anything yet. I'm waiting. I'm gonna start the sauce.
What are you gonna start with? You're gonna start with sauce?
I'm going to start with sauce and end up with the chicken.
Awesome. So now
the breadcrumbs. So time out before you continue. What breadcrumbs are you doing? Whole wheat? Are you doing?
No, I'm not doing any breadcrumbs. I'm doing Italian sausage meatball. So I'm doing it without bread. Yep, I'm doing it without bread. And yes, it's a little fattier. And I know to some people that's going to sound kind of contradictory, but honestly, if you have come through a journey and you discover that it's the carbs, the white carbs that really bother you, then that's what you look to omit. And in this case, a little bit of extra fat for me is not a problem. So I'm going in that direction. And, as we've spoken of before with our type 1 family that we have, carbs are the thing that we kind of don't eliminate, but we keep a very close eye on them.
So what do you use as binding then?
Well, actually, I use ground pork because it's fattier than ground meat or ground beef or ground veal or even the combination of the three. But if you were still in a weight loss phase of your health journey, then you could do the meatball mix, which is the ground beef, ground veal, ground pork, and you'd have enough that would still hold it all together. So yeah, you don't need to bind it and so when you grind your own, and I did it in a food processor. You could do it in a KitchenAid. I have that attachment too, but I did it in the food processor, and I just really got it a little bit more fine. And what happens is the more you work it, it actually changes to a third protein, and it starts to kind of, when you bite into a hot dog and it's like all homogeneous, it's like it's all there, and it once looked like a steak, but it doesn't look like a steak anymore. It looks like a hot dog. It's because they really, really grind. And so I just ground it more fine so that I would get that, added binding from the protein that's formed as that happens. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay,
so
I have a question for you.
We used to grow tomatoes. I think you have a memory or two.
Or 17,000. I have a question for you, though, before we continue that conversation. That's a whole different thing.
That's another show altogether, really.
Yes. So you don't cut this off, correct? Like when you cut an onion, you don't cut the root because that's what makes you cry?
That's not why. You don't cut that because, let me grab one. Just don't cut that because if you do, it's going to fall apart on you.
Gotcha.
So I clean it up just so I don't get little rooty ends in what I'm cutting, but I don't cut that off because it holds it together. So I'm going to cut, my first cut after I get the skin off is going to be this way. Not this way, not longitudinally, but pole to pole.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to
making sure. I was just asking because I learned that somewhere. I don't remember where I learned that from. But yeah, so back to the tomato thing. That was traumatic.
It was a lot of work. I think the first time for me is a really super
work.
Swear word involves tomatoes.
I only have 3 plants right now, and I am like overwhelmed. I'm like, what am I gonna do with like 6 cherry tomatoes? What am I gonna make with 6? We had an acre, like was it 1 or 2 of just tomatoes?
Just tomatoes. So I'm going in. I'm going to give you the list of ingredients, but real fast while you're chopping, Anna. I've got 2 ounces of white wine. I got 2 pounds of pork. I got 4 teaspoons of salt. Don't worry about writing this down. I'm going to show you the recipe in a little bit, so don't worry about that. And a teaspoon of toasted fennel. So I literally took the fennel that you get in the store, put it in the pan really, really low until I could smell the fennel. And yes, it matters because this was a shortcut I would have taken in my 20s. And by my 40s, I realized that shortcuts weren't doing anybody any good, except me getting it done faster. So
Right. Yep.
Toasted fennel is a good thing. And then I got a good heaping tablespoon of coarsely ground black pepper, and I didn't use anything fancy. So.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ugh.
Oh yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting what you don't like. Because I never paid any attention to it when you were a child anyway.
I was a child, so you didn't give a shit what I didn't like.
No. Child that's hungry enough eats what's on the dinner table. So anyway, tomatoes, yes, you're right. It was a full-on acre, and I used to plant 6 dozen indeterminate, or let's see, indeterminate means they keep on growing. So those are the round tomatoes, because we get all the seeds. Because, that's a whole homeschooling experience, right? And then
being loud just to be annoying. Have you noticed?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 6 dozen determinate, which are the plum tomatoes. Like you're using a San Marzano in your sauce already.
That's correct. So that if anyone is actually going to, so real talk, all jokes aside, if people don't want to spend $10 on a jar of sauce, which I personally refuse to do. I don't like to spend $10 on a jar of regulars, which it is okay. It's not like it's not good. But if you're going to buy it, these are plum tomatoes too, right?
Right, they're plum. They're indeterminate. Yeah. I'm sorry, determinate. Yeah.
It's the best kind. They're the sweetest, and they give off it's the best taste that you can get from a can of tomatoes. But it's just tomato. There's no.
It's just tomato. And one of the things I've discovered over the years is if you're not sure what brand to buy a couple of the ones that look nice, open them all up and figure out which one you like.
Yeah.
So I now have the luxury of being in Westchester County, and I do mean luxury, and we pay for that luxury dearly. But the good thing, at least, is that it's a very short trip to the Bronx. And so I went down to Arthur Avenue and I buy my tomato down there in the restaurant side. Yeah. So I make my sauce ahead of time. This is my sauce already made. So what Montana's doing, I've already done. And I have it. I know. I too many years. Too many years. So I'm just kind of mixing this around until I kind of get it all pulled together. And you're working on what? You got onions in? Did you garlic already, or you just onions?
No. So that is 1 full onion.
Yeah.
I would say about, I don't know, Mom, like what? 2 tablespoons of olive oil.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Medium heat.
Yeah.
And you get it translucent. Yeah. So Josh Priddle, he was like, Montana's going to share her sauce. This is going to be epic. I'm like, yeah. So here you go, Josh. This is for you, pal.
They're all going to be so let down when they find out how easy it is, because we've made such a big effing deal of the whole thing all this time.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, honestly, if they found out
all that's in there,
if they found out how easy this was, they'd be like, I don't need you anymore.
You know what the difference is the tomato. It's the quality of the tomato, and all those years grew them is because when you grow up on homegrown tomatoes in New York State, nothing tastes like that. But the tomato that I get now is actually the one that I buy is actually not even a product of Italy. It's a product of Stanislaus County in California. And that company only picks tomatoes for 72 days a year. So only at their peak of ripeness, and they taste phenomenal. So just open a few cans and find the one that really tastes like what you're looking for. Some people like more acid, some people like more sweet. It's really a matter of personal preference.
Yeah, really.
Go ahead.
No, that's all I got. I'm just saying, it's really not as difficult, I think. And buying a jar of tomato sauce, basically what you're paying for is the label, and there's really no reason for it. You know what I mean? Like if you can just do this. This is not difficult.
No, not at all.
I'm going to be replaced really quickly, friend wise. I think we can do stuffed shells next, because if they saw how easy that was,
you'll never have anybody over for dinner anymore.
Yeah, forget about it. They're going to start bringing their own stuff over and be like, they're Irish and they're bringing their own stuffed shells over.
So I just got a cookie baller here, and I'm using it to make my meatballs. And the reason I do that is just because they come a little bit more uniform and they cook kind of more evenly. I just overfill it and kind of round them out. And
yeah, what goes in your meatballs? What do you put in that? I'm doing garlic now. Also, I over garlic everything, by the way.
It's hard to do both. So I've really just got ground pork. I got a smidge of dry white wine. I got coarse ground pepper, and I've got some coarse salt and the fennel. And it's really, sausage does not need to be complicated. And I'll tell you where I got this recipe from. Actually goes way back on your dad's side of the family, your Grandma Santelli. Grandma Santelli's father, so your great-grandfather on the Santelli side, owned an Italian grocery. And the boys, your great Uncle Kenny and Uncle Sammy, became butchers. They were trained in the craft of butchering. And so they started making their own in-house sausages and salamis and soprasadas and that sort of thing. And this was just their standard, this is their standard plain Italian sausage. And I would consider this one sweet because I didn't put red pepper flake in, which is going to irritate your dad. But, you know, for the sake of
what doesn't irritate Dad, though? Let's be real.
He's truly 100% Italian, so really it's his job to be mad all the time.
Yep.
But I didn't because
I didn't say it. You did. I didn't say it.
It does make me cough, and I didn't think, you know, I couldn't wear a mask doing the video, and I didn't want to be coughing all over people. So, all right,
poor Dad. He's gonna watch this and be like, you know what?
Yeah, well, you know what? He who
he reaps what he sows.
Stone, you know what I mean? He's got a slingshot in his back pocket, so yeah.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
He'll be all right. He'll be just fine. I'll hear about it for weeks. So anyway, his mother, and probably his grandmother, my grandmother, would go.
Wait, what is Dad's grandmother's name?
His grandmother, Tiny.
Not Tanella.
Tanella was her real name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Grandpa's mom, who was.
Oh, I see what you mean. His grandmother, Eva.
Yeah.
Eva.
It was.
So they didn't have a garden. The Santellis didn't, or if they did, it was very small because they had the grocery. But your great grandma Mona Moreno had a big garden, and she did the sauce. And your grandmother Mona Moreno had a huge garden. There's 8 in your dad's family, so you know, ginormous. And she used to do. I used to do 200 quarts of tomato a year when you guys were home. She probably did 400 or 500 quarts of tomato. Yep. That smell of the tomatoes cooking down is like
you can't.
For all of my life, it's a comfort smell.
So I just dumped in my plum tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I rinsed the can out, and I used the excess from the can.
Yep.
And the water actually doesn't disturb the sauce whatsoever, and just let it kind of just chill. Just hang out, just for a little bit, and then I'll start seasoning when it gets to a little bit of a boil, because it cooks down really quick.
Very fast.
Yeah, it cooks down really quick. So I'll actually start seasoning it now. We're gonna do this. See how we measure? Look at this. Ready? Oh, it's about right.
Oh, sorry. I like your depression mentality there, though, so you don't even waste the last teaspoon of sauce in the can. Very well thought.
Your mother taught me that.
My mother's smiling on you right now. God rest her soul. Yep.
She seriously was like, "Oh, you're gonna waste that?" I'm like, so when we used to make, so everybody, real quick, when I was growing up, and my parents had their tomatoes, and I had to do tomato sauce. It was a production. It wasn't like it was fun. It wasn't cute. You were outside on the back picnic table with a freaking mill, and you're doing this, and then there's like nothing left. It's dry. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, was like, "You're wasting all this? Wasting what? It's dust. There's nothing left. What am I wasting?" Are you serious?
My grandmother would hand press that through a sieve until the skins were brown and there was no sign of any red left anywhere. And I'd be like, "I'm pretty sure your knuckles went in there too. I'm really sure your knuckles went in there too." Now it's got protein. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, and back in their day, that was you haven't. What was it? Eat a pack of dirt before you die. Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
So you can't even complain that. If I drop a tomato, that's another thing. I'm growing tomatoes, and if one falls on the ground, I'm not eating it. And Dad's like, "Oh, it's fine. Oh, it's fine. Just throw it in the sauce." I'm like, "It fell on the ground. I'm not eating that. There's a bug on it."
That's what water's for.
That's disgusting. You guys are nasty. I mean, I get it. It's maybe this pandemic is our new WW3.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so over it. But
beyond that, way beyond.
She was really extreme with her conserve every single last morsel of every single thing that you had. Otherwise, there's kids that are dying.
We talked about that the last time. She did come from a family of 11 children, so essentially 13 through the Great Depression. And my grandfather worked for GE, or, if you're up there, it's the GE. I don't understand why the article. I think perhaps because they spoke Italian and didn't really fully comprehend and added a few words here and there that they learned and felt good about it. But anyway, he worked for the GE, and he was a machinist, so he didn't make a lot of money. He hardly made any money. And I've heard this 8 million times in my lifetime. To save a nickel, he walked across the bridge. So from where they lived in Scotia, they had to cross what's called the Western Gateway Bridge to get to Schenectady to work at GE. And we could save a nickel a day by doing that. So it's, now it's $5 to cross the Tappan Zee Bridge. It's probably similar, probably something like that. Yep. Anyway, so yeah, it was definitely a culture of having less than. We talked about what it was like to be in Italy. So, what they had here was really very affluent compared to what they came from. So.
No, I get that. It's just kind of funny how we're so different now with things. Like, I won't put a tomato that's been touched by an ant.
So let's talk a little bit about Italy while I'm waiting for my pork to cook and your chicken's cooking. So you and I went to Italy together.
We did, Mom.
And it was Jessica's wedding, which was right before your wedding. Your wedding was in 2008. So it's probably, my mom was already gone. She passed in 6. So probably 6, right? Probably July of 6.
It was cousin Jesse's wedding.
Right, but that was 06, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably 05.
06. Well, no, my mom had already passed. She wasn't alive for it. But anyway, so that wedding. I mean, was that not just The Godfather reenacted? It was crazy, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable. I mean, we had fresh seafood and I didn't even know it was legal to serve food that was kind of still moving. Remember the courses we were like, we and everyone around us is like, kind of like, okay, like, yeah, that's good. This is good. Have a sample here and there. And we're like, we ate the entire plate because we didn't know what was coming next. And it was like 4 rounds of it.
By the time your hors d'oeuvres were done, I was done. I was cooked. But let's go back. Do you remember the house? Because we stayed at Jessica's house, which is unheard of, but we were the, some of the American relatives, and we were representing Aunt Connie.
Yeah.
So be the godfather. Yes, she was named appropriately. So we were representing Aunt Connie. And so we got to stay with the mother and father of the bride. That's, talk about guests of honor, But anyway, so we stayed at this house, and Luciana, mother of the bride, worked all night long, blowing up balloons. She must have made cookies for months. They had sandwiches. She had hand crocheted hostess, what do you call them? Giveaways, you know what I mean? It was nuts. They had nuts, they had salami, they had so much food at that house, and nobody wanted to touch it because it looked too beautiful. Yep. And then Claudio walks his daughter Jessica down the streets of the town to get to where the church is. And she was actually married, and I'll think of it as we move here, but it's the monastery that St. Thomas Aquinas passed away in. So it's like a really special place. And when I'm not trying so hard to remember the name, it'll come to me. But
it is the second oldest church in Italy.
Really old.
Yep. It was unfreaking believable.
So beautiful, right? And then we drove 2.5 hours from Sunino to Gaeta, which is on the coast. And that's where the wedding reception was, overlooking the Amalfi. And they honeymooned on Capri. I mean, it was breathtaking. It was a time of a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really amazing.
Walked our legs off.
Yeah, you definitely, you did not warn me for that, and I appreciate that, because if you told me, I probably wouldn't have went.
Yeah, you would have, because you know what? I warned you about a lot of things, and you didn't listen, and you still
Oh, there it is. Okay.
How about that gut up you had going into the Vatican? Oh, yeah. No, they're not going to, that's not
that's a good story, actually. So I wore a white dress going into the Vatican, and Mom's like, don't wear that. And I go, I'll do what I want. And she's like, okay, let's see how this plays out. We get to the, it was there's a gate, and you get to that, and they were like, you can't wear that. You can't do that. And so we had to go to this gift shop and spend way too much money on scarves to put around, and it wasn't indecent. It was a sundress, but in Vatican City, it's indecent. So I had to wear a scarf around my waist and a scarf around here, and I was like, "This is so cute! I'm so glad I'm doing this. I love my life." And that was probably the only time you've been right. Other than that, I'm usually right. So
okay, all right. Again, the 20-year-old came to a realization. This age will once again at some point.
That's the way to treat people, right?
All right, so I'm pulling these meatballs out because when you make meatballs with pork, even though I trim this meat, it's still way fattier. So I'm not offended by having a little extra fat in the meat itself, but I don't want all this extra. So I'm going to pour this out, and I'm actually going to save this because it's delicious, and it can go in other things. Not a lot, but a little bit at a time, like in kale when you're braising or sauteing kale or other things. Now, one of the things people really don't understand is that pork fat is actually better for you than butter. So if you're braising something off and your option is lard or pork fat or butter or any one of a number of other animal fats, this one is actually probably among the top 3 healthiest if you're in this category. I'm not saying compared to olive oil or canola oil or something like that. I'm talking, you're in the animal fat category already. If you're there and that's where you're at, this one is not a bad one to be. So do not go pork. Don't fear the pork fat, but I need to find something silicone to pour this in.
Also, literally just that's all you have to do is do it to taste. Sauce-wise is salt, pepper, seasoning. Some people like salty. I can't have a lot of salt, and I don't put sugar or wine. Mom, you said you like white wine in yours?
I do a little bit. It depends on the tomatoes. And now that I've found a really good tomato that I like, I many times don't bother because I don't, when you cook wine down, you actually bump the carbohydrates. You add carbohydrate to it. And, I'm trying not to do so much of that. So if I'm doing it for flavor, it's one thing. But if I bought a tomato that I'm happy with, I don't need to do it for flavor. So
Nailed it.
nice.
Perfect. That is fantastic. Good job, Anna. You're going to give yourself a pep talk?
100%, especially if you're alone. Dog looks at you a little funny, but.
Who cares? This dog. He's fine.
So I'm just going in with a couple of, my containers here. Because once I open a number 10 can, I freeze the other half in a Ziploc bag that I lay flat. So if I just want a little bit, even if it's frozen, I can drop it on the floor and break it and take a couple pieces out. So
you look really tan, Mom. Where you been?
Oh, the pool. The pool that closed yesterday. But
yeah, ours is supposed to close too, but
this will buy me a few weeks anyway, letting people know that there really is Italian in here somewhere. Not that the height wouldn't give it away.
Where's Dad? What is he doing right now?
He actually just came in while we were talking, and he's sitting over in his chair on his Mac.
Come in. I want to say hi to him.
Did you hear?
Little grumpy elf.
Take the glasses off. Here's lifting weights.
Hi, Montana.
What's up, Pa Dukes?
The smell in here is outstanding. I can't wait to be able to sample some of this. This is going to be an incredible meal.
She's got chicken parm.
You got chicken parm going?
Well, it's a very carb friendly chicken parm. It's like a fake chicken parm.
Not a breaded.
That's awesome.
Or fried.
You look really great, honey.
Love you. Look great too, Dad. Love you. You're my favorite dad.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
All right, so my sauce is done. I'm just gonna take these. So basically, what I did with the chicken is just salt and pepper it, and that's it. I mean, I just put it. I put it in, and I was gonna sear it, but I decided just to bake it.
Yeah.
Came to temp. I'm just gonna cover it in sauce with parm.
There you go. And mine are just going to simmer here until the pork's cooked all the way through. So that's a done deal.
Yep.
So this is our meal tonight. Is these little.
This is the this is fantastic actually because I actually don't have to do anything.
There you go. I'm going to put a lid on this. Any reason other than it's bubbling and popping all over my stove, and I don't want to clean it because we leave tomorrow. So,
yeah, what time do you guys leave?
Not terrible early, but early enough.
How long do you have till yours is done? Mine is.
Mine. I mean, they're just simmering, so it can, they're just meatballs. They're not really anything crazy.
I'm super excited right now.
And we did the recipe, right? I showed you the recipe, or was that before we started? I showed you the recipe.
No, show me now.
Okay, so I wrote it down. So you can freeze frame it. Take a minute. Press pause.
I'm watching.
You want to save it? Very simple.
Yep.
Very simple. So thank you to the Santellis for that. So I'm going to start putting this cocktail together while this is simmering.
I think you should. And just FYI, mine is done.
Nice. Oh, look at that. Boy,
Isn't that pretty?
Very
That's
nice.
literally just marinara, 2 chicken breasts, basil, Parmesan Reggiano.
Perfect.
Forget about it.
And healthy.
Healthy. So I looked at the carbs in the tomato. There's 6 grams in like 1 entire can, which is really nothing because who I mean, that's like nothing. It's almost.
No, it's a very low carb vegetable. Really, I mean, it's not the lowest carb, but you can't make sauce with celery. So you gotta.
Why?
Because it's gross.
Oh. Okay. There's that.
Yeah, I mean, who wants sauce with celery? You need to have something that's got some body to it,
Who wants celery in general?
Yeah, who your dad does. He's that guy.
Same.
So anyway, I took my clear Bacardi and I've measured out 3 shots of the clear Bacardi into here next to mine.
I'm going to put these other ones in now because what is your cocktail you're making?
This is a lemon daiquiri as opposed to a lime daiquiri. And the reason is because even though I could have gone and gotten limes, we're leaving tomorrow. And I don't need for the limes to go bad while I'm gone. So I'm using my lemon. So I have 3 ounces of the clear Bacardi. And I put it in a shaker. And the recipe actually calls for 3/4 of a shot of simple syrup. And we kind of had this talk the last time, but we're going to do it again. So this, bottle of simple syrup, if you actually want to spend the money to do it, but you can make it half equal parts liquid water to sugar. And you warm it up until the sugar dissolves, cool it down, and you got simple syrup for a lot cheaper than that. But anyway, if you wanted to just buy it, you would just buy it that way. So I've got some lemon juice. My lemon actually let go about 2 ounces of lemon juice. So I'm going to go all in with that. And I'm going to do, now, again, it calls for simple syrup, but I'm doing it my way because that's the way I got to do it. So I'm going to do.
Okay. That's how she rolls.
And because I don't got a choice. So I'm going to fill it up. I'm going to give it a shake.
Why do you make me eat this every time? Is this like a thing? Am I just going to start getting like fatter and fatter?
You're going to do what?
You make me eat every time because you're like my stuff's always done. And then you're making a cocktail and this is just staring at me.
Well, then you maybe need to start making the one making the cocktail or mocktail or something because you got kids in the house.
Mocktails?
And the only kids I got in the house is you, and of course the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna let people know that it was with a lemon. I'm gonna drop a lemon twist in.
Oh my gosh! That basil.
Oh, so nice, right? So
oh crazy. My gosh, that is like a bouquet in your mouth. Oh.
I didn't rim the glass, and I don't have the right glass. I just happen to have a really well-made cocktail.
I'm trying to bask in my glory. Can you give me a minute?
You should. You should.
It cooked perfectly, if you're wondering.
I'm going to pull a meatball out myself.
That is, what did I say, out of bounds?
Well, and you know what? It's good for you, so you can feel good about it, too. You know, so many people over the holiday, I have clients that are like, oh, well, we had a family picnic or, like, you just got to pay the price. Just learn to do things a little bit better. And it's so much nicer. You feel so much better about it.
Well, we had a guest on the Power PCast.
Yep.
Who is, she's big into diets and health and all that. So she's on my Be My Best Me page as well.
Okay.
Sharing recipes. So check us out, guys. Subscribe, like it, clock watch squad. Just join in, guys. It's all right there, and it's a good time. I think we have a lot of fun. I really truly thoroughly enjoy this. This is like,
we do. So the Be My Best Me group has recipes and ideas and all sorts of different things that you can plug into your life to help do things a little bit healthier. Maybe think twice about it.
Right.
Have some inspiration while you're there.
It's not just recipes. It's just being aware of who you are as a human being and how to become the best version of yourself. It's not just, because diet is one aspect of being the best version of yourself. There's also mentally, psychologically, for me, exercise has always been my big thing. Dad and I used to run almost every day down Jockey Street, like every single day. So like things like that helped me tremendously. So it's just figuring out what niche you had. And the gym has always been my thing. The gym has always been something that I have been really invested in, and it's helped me clear my head. And I don't know. Like, there's just something about it. People complain all the time. Like, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. But like, then figure out what you have time for. Figure out what's the most important thing in your life. And like, you know, it's okay to focus on yourself. Like, even though you have kids, like, focus on yourself, find what makes you happy, and go down that avenue. If it's exercise, diet, whatever it is, like, I guarantee once you figure out your niche.
Because you can't help your kids if you haven't helped yourself.
Correct.
If you haven't figured it out yourself, you really can't teach them anything. They can't learn from someone who hasn't figured it out yet.
Correct.
So super, super special.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
Yeah, mine was. I pounded mine already. It's gone.
Was it good?
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Not mad at that at all.
No.
Wow.
Delish, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really killer too. This one tastes so good.
Are you making your cocktail, or are we just not?
No, I just made it.
You're done?
I'm done. See? So I said I don't have a daiquiri glass, and I didn't rim it or any of that. But, you know, it really, as long as the beverage gets from here to here, I don't care what the shape of the vessel is.
Does not matter.
No, not to me anyway. So, yeah.
Cheers, Mom. I got my sparkling ice. Love you.
I love you. Ti amo. Ciao.